In the 78th round of its nationwide sample survey, the National Sample Survey Office carried out the Multiple Indicator Survey, or MIS, covering the entire country. The initial plan was to conduct the survey during the January-December 2020 period, but the fieldwork was extended up to August 2021 due to the impact of COVID-19 lockdowns. So, what do select national indicators provided by the MIS report say about the state of rural India? With regard to a household's principal source of drinking water, from which it obtained most of its potable water during the past 365 days, the survey's sobering finding was that the percentage of persons reported to have piped water into their dwelling, yard, or plot was just a shade below 25% for rural India. It was slightly more than 61% for urban. However, 95% in rural and just a bit more than 97% in urban India reported they had access to an improved source of drinking water. Bottled water, piped water into dwelling, piped water to yard or plot, piped water from neighbor, and public tap or standpipe, among others, were considered to be improved sources of drinking water. For the purpose of the survey, a household was considered to have access to a latrine if the majority of its members had the facility of using it, irrespective of whether it was actually used by them or not. The survey found that slightly less than 69% of rural households reported access to a latrine that was meant for exclusive use by them, while in urban India, almost 81% of households reported the same. However, the alarming finding was that slightly over 21% of rural households reported that they had no access to a latrine at all. Only about 3% of households in urban India reported the same. Still, a comparison of data from NSS 78th round and NSS 76th round shows that the percentage of rural households with access to a latrine has improved to some extent. The NSS 76th round was conducted during July-December 2018. The survey also found that almost 47% of rural households were still using firewood, chips, and crop residue as their primary source of energy used for cooking. Only about 6% of urban households reported the same. So, how do experts view these findings of the survey? And what do they think it says about the state of rural India?
On the one hand, you certainly see a story of incremental progress. We aren't moving backwards, we are moving forwards, but perhaps we are not moving as fastly forward as we would like, and as from a political point of view, we often state. The reality is the two particular transitions that that we are speaking about, safe sanitation and drinking and safe piped drinking water supply. These are difficult, transaction intensive and complicated things to achieve. They require both social shifts. They also require state capacity of an order that India simply doesn't have.
It is true that the number of latrines have gone up over the last 10 years, but we are nowhere close to open defecation free situation. In fact, it has also been found that even those who have toilets all the members of the household do not use them. Secondly, in the case of cooking gas as well, it's been seen that even when families have got cylinders, they don't necessarily refill them, often because of affordability and accessibility issues.
Also, what do they think can be done to ensure an improvement in these indicators in rural India?
The one arena that will accelerate progress is if these particular services are decentralized to local governments, particularly panchayats and municipalities. No country anywhere in the world has achieved these basic public provisioning without the strong and visible and accountable presence of local governments. India tries to do this from New Delhi, not from the local panchayat in the village where people access sanitation services and drinking water facilities. We will only achieve fast progress by strengthening and empowering our local governments.
In the case of gas cylinders, refilling depends on the price, and with the change in the subsidy norms, the gas cylinders have become quite expensive, and oftentimes it's also very difficult to access the centers from where they can get a fresh cylinder. So this infrastructure needs to be improved, and the subsidy needs to be continued for everybody if people are to be able to afford them. In the case of toilets, it's an issue of both infrastructure, not just of the toilets, but improving the water supply and drainage systems. Along with that, there is a behavioral component as well, and that needs to be addressed through various kinds of campaigns.
The impact of rural India lagging in these select indicators will be seen in a greater burden on the healthcare system and poorer socio-economic development outcomes. As the country sets ambitious growth targets, achieving them will become more difficult if rural India does not progress on an equal footing with its urban counterpart.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.